Hey. Imagine you achieve the ultimate goal, financial freedom. This is you on the beach and you have fuck all to do your whole entire day. Firstly, you might buy a car, this fancy luxury vehicle. I know it looks like one. Secondly, you might buy your mum a house or some wholesome shit like that. And some of you degenerates might go and indulge in some cocaine and hookers or whatnot. But if not day 3, at least day 23, right? In a while, you're going to start questioning what even is the meaning of life? Like, why am I here? It's going to get boring. The truth is, humans are always motivated to move in a certain direction. That might not be the most productive thing to do in your life right now, but you're always motivated to do something. Even if we just think back to your childhood, you were hella motivated to play Minecraft or play some sort of sport. The question becomes aligning the first thing, which is, what you logically should be doing, and the second thing, your motivation itself. If you can make the good thing feel good, then you're going to be motivated by default. Discipline isn't really a natural thing if you think about it. But before we get into it, this method will be patched very soon. I spoke to the devs of Earth and they said that this is going to be patched. It's a huge bug. Infinite motivation glitch shouldn't be around, and they said they're working on it, so you better be fast with implementation. Jokes aside, now that I've got your attention, we're going to go through the 7 things. The first one is fear. This is very unsexy. It's very hard to actually grab what the fuck fear even means, because I'm not talking about fearing snakes and spiders. I'm talking about that one thing, which if I told you to do it right now, you would be like, no. You find some stupid excuse to justify your behavior. But just to give you a bit more insight, for me, this was, for example, if someone told me to post anything essentially on like Facebook or Instagram where all of my friends could see, that would be a big red flag for me. Like I could never do that in the past. Or for example, asking for help. Fuck me. If I messaged even a friend and I was like, yo, I'm feeling bad, could we hop on a call? Like that felt like death to me. That's how deep I was. And all of this stuff comes down to the fear of others' judgment. And I really want you to think about this for a second, please, because I know it can be cringe. I know we throw these quotes around like what you fear is where your task is or some shit like that. But really do actually think of this. What is the thing that you fear? What are the things that actually terrify you? Because I just told you what mine are. Back in the day when I started my first business, I actually started it like 4 months late. I had the idea that I was going to start a business, and I was so damn terrified of other people who I don't even know, who I've never even met in my entire life, rejecting my proposals. I didn't do any cold outreach, not only for that period of time, even after I started, for 2 years. I waited until my friend, who was actually able to do cold outreach because he had beaten his fear of rejection, fear of judgment, I waited until he partnered up with me. Now, that obviously led to somewhat of a good decision on my part because I actually got into business, I actually made a lot of money. But the thing is, 2 years later, when I quit this business, I had to face my fear of judgment. Like, this shit was still here. This shit was still lingering, and I had to fucking beat it. A lot of times in life, what you will see is if someone fears something, they have a big fear. The thing is, they can't get across it. Life will just not let them. This will end up in like self-sabotage or something. You won't see the fear itself often. You'll just see them be not energetic enough or not motivated. That's a very big example, right? It will just seem like there's this big invisible glass ceiling above them. Or the other thing which you'll see is that they do leapfrog forward and they get their goal and they get to 100K per month in like 1 year time or something stupidly fast. The thing is, this never sticks. If you see someone have like a decline and a downfall, you see a lot with these rappers who know nothing about business, don't even make that good music, but they just got kind of lucky with a song. Their next album is going to flop. You see this with these kind of crypto gurus who do this pump and dump and they get rich and then they go broke because they're not that person yet. They have fears, they have character issues, and they're not really the type of person who can actually beat this, and they get put back into their place by the universe. So unless you beat your character, the biggest thing in that is actually fear, which is stopping you from action, you're not going to become successful. And really do please pause this video and think about it, because I promise you there's something that you fear a lot and you're not even being honest with yourself about it. The second thing, which is actually the most common in my opinion, is clarity. Lack of clarity can ruin lives, and I mean that by the literal meaning of what I'm saying here. The eagle versus mouse mindset was commonly interpreted or made, I guess, by Matthew Dix, who's an author. And this guy made the book, or wrote the book Someday is Today. And he has this kind of mouse versus eagle mindset. Maybe it's coming from somewhere else. I don't know. I heard it from him, first of all. And what this basically means is the eagle has this bird's eye view of the whole picture. Let's say this whole picture is your life, and it has the bird's eye view, and it sees everything about the picture. Can't really get into the nitty-gritty, into the details of it. Doesn't really see that much, but it can kind of put the parts together. It can be like, okay, this is this, that's that. Done. The mouse, however, understands that there's a large picture, but it doesn't really see it too well, as it's down on the floor and it's doing its everyday tasks, and it sees maybe this tiny bit of the whole picture, but it sees that very, very well. The key to this, and the key to success essentially, and the key to beating procrastination and being motivated, is seeing both pictures. It's being able to juggle both perspectives at the same time. Whenever you're maybe late at night or you're, at the end of the week or end of the quarter, you want to be an eagle mindset. You want to see how your life is going. You want to see, am I lacking in relationships? Am I lacking in business? Even within business, is it a leads problem? Is it a churn problem? Is my offer just shit? You want to actually look at these things critically. But if you're constantly thinking about, in the future, when I get enough leads and my personal brand gets big enough, I want to get into music and then I'm going to start a podcast. And you're thinking all the time in this kind of aspect and the eagle mindset, you're not going to put anything together, because if you're thinking in these big steps and you find that you're procrastinating throughout the day and you don't even have a plan and you wake up and you doom scroll, you're cooked, okay? My friend, you're cooked. So what you must do is you balance these two, right? Neither works without the other. You have to be a mouse and you have to do the greatest activities in your day-to-day life, but you kind of have to be able to put them together so it amounts into something, right? If you're only just doing the ChatGPT kind of task, go work out, or go work on your business, and you're doing that, you might end up somewhere where you don't want to be. You want to end up here and you're just going like, okay, mouse task, mouse task, mouse task, and you're not even looking at the whole picture. So you really must learn to balance this and switch around. The best way to do this, in my opinion, is to kind of, think of things holistically, especially when you're approaching the end of the week or end of the calendar or something like this, end of day even, for like a few minutes, you can plan your next day and really, really write down tasks. Like, make it super fucking simple. If I work every single day for the next 90 days on this project at this time, is it realistic that I'm going to fail? Not really. So that's what I'm going to do. Write out like 1 to, I don't know, maybe 4. That's about the amount of tasks I write out. These are the non-negotiable tasks. These tasks I will do. I will shoot a video, I will go to the gym, I will go shopping, and these kind of things. And these are the things which you will do, okay? These are the mouse tasks. The eagle writes out the mouse tasks. And you're like, okay, I'm going to do these tasks because they are really conducive to my success. Now, you don't want to end up with an overwhelming list. You don't want to add fucking 15 items to your mouse list because you're just not going to do them, right? We're talking about clarity here. You don't want to get overwhelmed with the amount of mouse tasks which you have. However, you do want to have a very clear list of things to do to actually propel you towards the big picture, right? To the eagle's perspective, to actually achieve your goals. The third one is values, and this whole section is pretty much going to be a paraphrasing of Edward Deci and Ryan Richards' work on the self-determination theory. What the self-determination theory says, in the essence of it, is that you have this spectrum, which is actually motivation, right? We think of motivation as you either have motivation or you don't have motivation, this binary kind of conundrum, which is just not the case. Motivation works in this way. You have extrinsic motivation and you have intrinsic motivation. What this means is it's coming from within or coming from without. For example, when you have Messi, the greatest football player of all time, if it's not Ronaldo, I'm not going to get into the politics of it, sorry, he actually likes playing football. And when he's a kid, he's kicking around the football. That's entirely intrinsic because he doesn't really get anything from it. He just loves playing football. However, if you have a burnt-out 9-to-5er who wants to put food onto his family's plate, that's pretty extrinsic, if you ask me. Of course, like there's some intrinsicity to it because you want your kids to stay alive because that's just who you are. And the reason you're doing it is to get money and to feed them. Sure, there's an argument, so it's not like maybe at the very end of the spectrum, but it's pretty fucking extrinsic if you ask me, right? That's not your passion to, work for this 9-to-5 job. The way to actually move whatever you're doing currently to the right side, it doesn't have to do with, meditating 14 hours a day and actually being 100% apparent with what your purpose is or anything like that. It's actually a lot more simple than that. So what you must do is you must maximize all of these things: autonomy, relatedness, and competence. These are the 3 biggest needle movers when it comes to pushing your motivation to the right side, to the intrinsic side of the spectrum. What autonomy means is you must choose. Whether that means you must choose to do the activity, which is a very big one, right? You're there by choice. Or, introducing some sense of autonomy, like you choose your own hours. You choose the way you complete the task. You choose your goals inside of your business, as long as it aligns with the business's goals. You choose whatever part. The more autonomy you have in your business, the better. Now, of course, when you're a 9-to-5 and you have your graphics design job, this can not mean too much. It can maybe mean if you work from home or if you go into the office. If you use this kind of software to design the picture or the other type of software, it isn't that like flexible. However, there are some things which you can do which would maybe move it from here to maybe here, which is like very nice. So try to do as much as possible when it comes to that. And of course, if you're running your own business, like this should not really be a problem for you. Relatedness is also very important. Like the people around you, how relatable are they to you? How much do you like them? How much do you like what you do? Like if Messi's running around with his football and he's in some random Argentine field, he's having a lot of fun. And that's not just because he's fucking good. That's not just because he chooses to be there. It's because he likes the kids around him. He likes playing football. He's probably has a few friends he's playing with, right? He's probably seen those people before. He feels very, very related, even if you have the utmost autonomy. And let's say the third thing, which I haven't really talked about yet, but competence, how good you are at the thing, is maxed out. If you hate the people around you, you're going to want to get out of there. Right? Eventually, you're going to want to get out of there. And moving on to the third thing, which I've kind of elaborated on by now, is competence, is your skill level. How good are you? Because you can love the people around you and you can be like utmost autonomous. If you're just shit and you continue to be shit, you're going to quit. And that rhymed. And yeah. And it does make sense to be the dumbest in the room at sometimes, to learn as fast as possible. But if you're constantly the dumbest in the room your whole entire life, that's a pretty miserable existence, if you ask me. Number 4 is dysfunction. Guys, you already know how to fix this. By dysfunction, I mean brain rot, neurological dysfunction, when your brain isn't working the way it must. If you look like this guy, you know what you're doing wrong. My friend, I don't have to shove down your throat, hopefully, pause on that, all of this stupid information which you've already heard 1,000 times over. Stop gooning and gambling and eating processed foods and doom scrolling. You know what you must stop, okay? If you're constantly on TikTok, if you're constantly scrolling, if, these scientists actually make these algorithms based upon any possible way they could keep you on the platform for longer, this literally makes the rest of your life miserable. If this is your dopamine graph, and this is your TikTok, which is actually, this is scientifically backed up, about 4 times baseline is how high TikTok and shit like this can take your dopamine levels. If this is your baseline, and TikTok's taking it like this high, how nice will eating vegetables feel? It's not rocket science, okay? I'm not saying you can never do this shit, but the more dysfunctional activities you give your brain, the less it's going to function properly. I know I don't deserve a Nobel Prize for coming to that conclusion, but it really feels like I must say it because a lot of people are moving mad, even nowadays when this became so apparent. You already know what the instant gratification stuff is, and you already know if you wake up and you indulge, your whole day gets ruined. So why are you doing it? Just stop. Number 5 is emotional overload, and I'm going to get a bit more serious for this one because this is quite a heavy topic. So if we imagine your mind, let's say this is your mind, I know it looks a bit weird. This is your conscious mind, this tiny little nugget is your conscious mind, which makes up for about 5% of that. That's what most physicists assume. The thing is, most of the things which actually come into this conscious mind are from the outside. So you're on X, you're on Twitter, and you're reading, oh, Cristiano Ronaldo has 949 goals. Wow, what a banger he scored for Al Nassr. And you just dedicated 120 thoughts to Cristiano Ronaldo. And then you have this person who looks at you kind of weird on the subway. And then you're like, wow, their life must suck. They must be projecting. Oh, actually, did I dress like weird? Oh, okay, I'm going to be adjusting my coat. And then you just realize that you just spent your whole fucking afternoon thinking about other people. The problem with this is that your conscious mind is constantly active and it makes up 95% of what you think and what you do and who you are. When you see someone, let's say they're holding a knife, you instantly have your heart rate elevated. Your body instantly enters fight or flight. You sense it without getting the conscious thought, oh, I must be in danger, without putting the words together. Imagine if you had to be like, oh, that looks like a sharp object. If that person wanted to, they could harm me with that sharp object. Okay, I must send to my brain the signals. No, motherfucker, you don't do that. You just know that it's a knife because your subconscious mind does the processing for you, which means even if you're thinking about things which are unimportant, or at least seemingly unimportant, that are coming from the outside, you're still processing everything here, right? There's a lot of shit happening within, which you don't even know, yet it dictates your whole entire life. Things that happen to you in your childhood, things that are happening to you right now, a lot of them are emotions. Whenever we whip out our phone and we go on TikTok, it's because we want to numb ourselves from reality, whether it's reality being mundane, whether it's reality being painful. A lot of times when we feel any type of negative emotion, when we feel bored, as I just said, or you feel sad for some reason, you feel like you just got rejected, you feel like whatever negative emotion, insert negative emotion here, you numb it instantly. But it doesn't mean it goes away, okay? This is what I'm trying to say here. What it means is that it gets wrapped up here. And the problem is, as Carl Jung said, whatever you resist persists. It doesn't just go away like that. That's not how it works. And this will lead you to have a constantly elevated heart rate. This will lead you to anxiety and depression. And although, yes, this can be genetic and it's not entirely because of this, this can definitely be a thing that actually induces these kind of mental disorders. And also, right, even if it doesn't induce any type of mental psychosis or disorder upon you, it will lead to overload. And if you're constantly on edge, if you have repressed emotions, if you're feeling kind of angry all the time for no reason, or sad or tired, or any of these emotions, how do you expect to be constantly motivated? How do you expect to have that spark, that fire within your heart to chase your goals if you're not even regulating your emotions properly, right? So the best solution to this is fucking nothing. If you don't do anything, the only option your mind has, since it doesn't have anything outside, is to go within. Right? When you're kind of meditating, or even if you're just not doing anything, right? You're looking maybe around your room, but you've seen everything before. It isn't that novel stimuli. It's going to start to do things from within. It's going to start bringing stuff which you've buried down below. There's a thing called a Vipassana retreat. It's a 7-day meditation retreat. And what they do is they teach you this style of meditation, which, you know, it's cool by itself, but that's not the reason I'm bringing this up. The reason I'm bringing this up is because not only do you not have your phone or anything like this, you can't even have eye contact in there. You meditate for 8 hours a day, the rest you're pretty much doing nothing. You only eat like vegetables, like fucking lettuce and carrots. And that's the best part of your day. Now, most of you watching this video probably can't even go to the toilet for 5 minutes without your phone. Tell me if I'm wrong, though. Tell me if I'm wrong, but you probably can't even do that, or at least you don't consistently. If you went to this place and you didn't have anything to do, you did nothing, fucking nothing for 7 days, imagine what would happen to you. 90% of people say that this is a transformative experience in their life in a positive direction, and a very large quotient of this 90% reports crying, fucking bawling their eyes out on one of the first days. Like, people have so many repressed emotions that is literally ruling their reality that they don't even know about. It's insane. So I'm not telling you to go sign up to one of these, although you probably could, and it might be the best option for you. It's free, by the way. What I think you should do, especially if you're a beginner, is what I just said, going to the toilet and not bringing your fucking phone with you, or maybe scheduling like 30 minutes a day where you don't do anything, or maybe just 5 for starters. Number 6 is misalignment. This is very akin to what I talked about here in the values section, but I'm going to kind of talk about it a bit because it's more on a conceptual level. So let's say I am me and I am very happy. Hello, I'm a little kid. And I have this kind of thought that I like nature. You know, this is supposed to be a flower here and it has its petals. And yeah, it's a tough flower, by the way. Holy shit. And I really like, you know, greenery and environment and stuff like this. Yet I start working for a predatory company like Nestle. How do you even spell Nestle? Nestle. There we go. And Nestle is known for, like, I don't know, digging wells in Africa and fucking ruining the soil and the water and everything. And, you know, I don't want to get sued by them. This is not factual knowledge. This is all fiction. And I don't know much about this company at all. And whatever company you might substitute into here, if they're not aligned with your values, you're not going to be that motivated. Shocker. Even though it's not going to be like a conscious thought, you're going to visit our dear friend back here, self-sabotage, okay? And self-sabotage often comes as different things in disguise. Just as in the fear section, you're not going to be like, I am constantly ruining my own plans and constantly feel tired because I fear this thing. No. You're going to be like, oh, I'm constantly tired and, oh yeah, it's probably an energy thing. Oh yeah, I'm constantly feeling this type of way and, oh yeah, I don't know why it is. Bitch, it's because you're acting in alignment to your own values. Let's stop sugarcoating reality here. A lot of people will work 9-to-5s, which they kind of know is destructive to society. They kind of hate the brand they're working for. They know that the shareholders are evil people, yet they're doing it. Because that's just the best thing they can get their hands on. Also, they tell themselves, because it would be hard to get hired again and quit their job or something like that. And even if you're in your own business, cutting corners and working for people. I had this, by the way, in this business, in the beginning, I didn't really talk about this. Where did I kind of draw this shit? Yeah, here. When I was working with one of my friends, I hated my clients. I knew that they were not good people. That's one of the reasons I quit after 2 years, even though we were successful. So it happens to the best of us, even when you're in a business. It doesn't have to be a 9-to-5. Anyway, if you're acting out of alignment to your goals, like, it's no surprise that you're not going to be motivated. That's why this is the 6th motivation blocker. And finally, the 7th motivation blocker is probably the simplest out of all of them. It's lethargy. One of the things I could talk about is how your GI index is important, or at least GI index of foods. This basically means that if you eat carbs, they will act as glucose in your blood sugar, which leads your blood sugar to go up and fucks your insulin, and then your blood sugar goes down, it crashes, it overcompensates, and that's why you enter something called a postprandial coma, or, as the plebeians say, a food coma. So that's really important, because just eating requires a lot of energy. Digestion itself requires energy. A lot of people don't know this, so you're not getting all the calories which you're eating. But especially if they're carbs and they act as glucose, if they have a high GI index, they are going to fuck with your blood sugar, and that's not a good thing. So best case, you're probably going to be fasted in the morning. But even if you eat, it's not the end of the world. Just try to avoid carbs. And even if you eat carbs, a lot of people don't say this, but as long as it's real fucking food, it's not going to be that big of a problem. Again, in the ideal world, you're not going to be eating in the morning. But as long as you're eating like real foods, and you know what real food is, again, I don't have to tell you this shit. Like, you're not this person, or at least I hope you're not. Like, not ultra-processed foods, no a lot of sugar, no sweeteners, no... You know what I'm fucking saying here, right? I'm not kidding anyone. Vegetables, fruit, meat, bit of grains, that's kind of it, right? That's cool. And finally, like the last part, which actually is worth mentioning here, because I could be going on about this for a long while, but these are the 2 biggest things, like food and sleep. And within sleep, there are also 3 main things which you should also focus on. Matthew Walker, the world-renowned author and sleep scientist, is very big on these 3 things. The first thing is total sleep amount. This is hopefully not a shocker to anyone. The second thing is sleep regularity. And the final thing is sleep timing. What I mean by these is obviously the amount, how much did you sleep? That's that. Regularity basically means that you must be asleep, or at least it's the best to be asleep in the same kind of pattern. So if you go to sleep at 10 p.m. every single day and you wake up at 6 a.m., if you stick to that, that's awesome, because your body is going to start noticing that you're repeating the same pattern over and over and over again. And once you've done it for a few weeks, it's going to start pumping you with the sleepiness hormone consistently at 9 p.m. because it realizes that, oh shit, it's time to sleep. And then it's going to help you fall asleep. And when you're asleep, your sleep is going to be like higher quality. What these 2 final things are about is actually just quality. I just wrote them separately because they are the biggest shareholders of sleep quality. And yeah, after this, we go into the final one, which is timing, which means even if you sleep pretty much at the same time every night, if it's not at night, it's in the middle of the day, you're still going to be kind of cooked. And that's why shift work is so detrimental, and shift workers are aging much faster than other people. And there's a lot of things, but I'm not going to get into that. The biggest thing is just sleep at the same time a lot, and hopefully when the sun's down, because that's how your body clock functions. That's how we've been wired through millennia of years of evolution. And it's really important that you actually sleep when the sun's down, preferably not missing 1 hour from midnight to 4 a.m. That's what the scientists say. If you miss any time, pretty much consistently sleeping between midnight and 4 a.m., you are considered sleep deprived. So don't do that, and follow these 7 steps to unblock your motivation. Goodbye.